having you on your first agricultural television in the capital city of Nigeria, Abuja. This is Improved Seeds with me, Hilda Hobself-Water, as your usual host. Today, I have great men, I have great farmers, consultants, businessmen, and of course, people who are ready to give us an insight on the cultivation of rice. Yes, I know it's a popular, maybe feel you know more, but I urge you to stay back because there are a lot of things you're going to learn from it. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Still, this is Improved Seeds. Before we went on the break, I told you that I have great men in the house. I have Mr.
Abba Joseph. I'm a consultant. I'm also a researcher and a farmer.
You heard that, are you?
I am Patrick Ubang from Cross River. I'm an agri consultant, a farmer, a proud one at that, and a businessman.
All right, thank you so much for coming to the program. Sir, let me start with you. I know a lot of people say they know how to cultivate rice, but can you highlight every step that a farmer needs to adhere to have a proper and a bumper harvest of rice?
Yes. Rice is a crop that is actually a great staple for Nigerians and beyond. The cultivation of this crop entails a lot of steps which have to be properly taken so that we can achieve the objective of maximum productivity. And there are certain steps that have to be followed. First and foremost, we have to start with planning on what to do so as to achieve maximum yield. Then we look at other things like land acquisition, buying of inputs, involving finances that will finance the activities that are to be carried out in the process of the rice production from the beginning to the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you look at for all this before even thinking of cultivating it.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Patrick, what are some of the challenges faced by most farmers from what Sir has spoken?
Well, in terms of challenges, one of the major challenges faced by farmers is finance. That is why if you must go into rice cultivation, we have what we call financial planning and record keeping. You must take it into consideration. And then cultures and norms also. It's a very big challenge in some areas. And there are other challenges, like when you really go into it, you look at the seeds, the inputs, where do you get the actual inputs you need. I think those are the challenges.
All right. I know there are more, but then, as you said, all right, then, from it, we have pests and diseases that affects rice cultivation. Apart from the right fertilizer, the right. So can you please highlight some of the fertilizers that requires one to use in rice cultivation, and then some of is it best for us to use organic or inorganic fertilizers in rice cultivation? Is it better we use organic or inorganic fertilizers in rice cultivation?
Rice is a crop that requires adequate amount of fertilizer at particular stages of production. From the beginning, we have those fertilizers that comprise more than one nutrient. That is the NPK. And for the NPK, we have recommended rates per hectare. You have to use 4 bags of fertilizer of NPK at better application. and then later you use 2 bags of urea for suppressing. That is to enable the crop put very well. That is carry better belly and give better panicles with good seeds. And that has to be done at such periods accordingly. And rice is also a crop that is being affected by pests and diseases. For instance, pests on the field, there are a lot of pests that attack rice. Some they attack rice at the seedling stage. That is when the rice is just coming up. Especially in the fadamas, you have the mole crickets, which in most cases eat up the roots. You have the termites, and at the later stage of growth, you have the stem borers, which also affect the production of the crop.
Okay.
As per diseases, you have rice blast, which is one of the commonest in the field, and it becomes a serious problem, especially when you are cropping a place in and out for several years. Maybe the accumulation of the microbes could escalate, and when you crop, lower yields could be obtained. And we have to take care of this. And in the later stage of the growth of rice, by the time it has panicled, you see some enemies, mostly the bears. They invade the field frequently, and they have to be taken good care of so that we don't lose the yield to the bears. Thank you.
All right. So, what are some of the pesticides that you use, in controlling this?
As for stem borers, for instance, and the termites, we have certain chemicals that are essential for that. Like we have the cypermethrin, which could be sprayed into the field so as to reduce the infestation rate on the rice field. We also have the termite, which can control the termites on the farm and reduce the attack on the field. And for blasts, we suggest that you use blast resistant or tolerant varieties which can cope with the effect of the infestation on the field.
Okay, that's very good. All right, sir. He has talked about the pests and diseases. I know wheat is also one of the challenges that we faced with in cultivation of rice. How do we differentiate grasses from rice, and how do we control it on our farms?
Well, the issue of weed in farming is a general thing.
Okay.
Be it rice or any other crop you are cultivating. And the success of every farming, whether rice or other crops like I've said, starts from there, from your ability to control weeds. But specifically in rice production, if you really want to combat weeds, a lot of farmers these days have realized that weed control is a major aspect of rice farming in order to achieve the desired yield that you really need. So you have to look at the herbicides. You have to look at, in terms of controlling weed, there are herbicides at various stages that you need or that is required to control weed. So when you prepare your land, there are herbicides, we call them, they are pre-emergence. Pre-emergence herbicides that you spray them before the weed emerge. And then there are other herbicides like the glyphosate. You spray those ones when the weeds are already established. Now, from the beginning, after your land preparation, the pre-emergence will help to suppress the weeds, while the glyphosate or the selective herbicide per se that is used when the rice is already on the field will control the other weeds that are already emerged. So now, if you don't have a proper arrangement of weed control from the onset, your failure is already on the way. So weed control is a very essential issue when it comes to rice cultivation. And not only rice cultivation, other crops in general.
All right. So, but some people say, rice, when you cultivate rice, when it grows with rice, grass and rice, they look so much alike. How do we, pick those and differentiate it when they grow together?
Well, just like I said, it depends on what you are doing. As a rice farmer, there's no rice farmer that doesn't know the difference between wheat and rice.
Okay.
And as a novice, that is why you cannot just go into rice cultivation. You need to seek advice from a professional. It is just like every other trade. Farming is a business. It is like every other trade. You don't just jump into a trade. You have to learn it. So definitely, if you are learning a trade, there must be someone, an expert, to put you through. So even in rice cultivation, you don't just jump into farming. You need the services of an expert to put you through of what rice farming entails. And as such, you'll be able to differentiate when you see rice and when you see wheat. And you'll be able to also know how to control the rice and wheat, even when they grow together.
Wow.
In addition to what my colleague has said, there are some weeds that are obnoxious, very stubborn weeds. Sometimes when you get to the field, they resemble rice as a growing a substance. And the best thing that has to be done, in addition to what my colleague has said, is that you have to do a proper pre-feed treatment. That is when the weeds have emerged. You get into your field with your pre-emergence and do a total control of the weeds by spraying everything that is vegetative, so that most of the weeds will die right from the leaves down to the roots.
Okay.
Some of them have what we call them as rhizomes. They have branches or extended tentacles within the soil, and when you spray them right at the vegetative level, then the chemical is translocated down to the roots, and they eliminate their existence before you go into plowing and harrowing. And with that, you avert their effect on the field.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's interesting.
And
Yes.
to add to that, because we
Yes.
just like we say, weed control is a very essential aspect of rice cultivation.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of farmers are being misled by most of these agro input dealers. A lot of them simply because maybe I want to sell what I have. A farmer needs a particular, for instance now, glyphosate is a systemic herbicide, while paraquat is a contact herbicide.
Okay.
They all have their duties. The glyphosate, just like Oga have said, it kills the weed from the vegetation. It's like receiving an injection. They give you through the vein, the blood takes it down the system.
Okay.
For glyphosate, the leaves are there, the vegetative part of the leaves are there, the leaves have veins. So when you spray the herbicide on it, it absorbs it through the veins of the leaves and it is translocated down to the roots of it. And then it kills the weed and you have a lasting effect. But if you are dealing on paraquat, which is a contact herbicide, it just kills the vegetative part of it. It doesn't take time, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. Or now these days, even if less than a week, you see the grass emerging again. So, but it is still useful depending on what you want to do. If you have an emergency, like some persons, what they do, some farmers, if their field is, if the weed is much, they can use paraquat. And after they reduce it, later on when they emerge, they now introduce glyphosate to have a lasting effect. So weed control is something that you really have to really plan and follow up your farming calendar based on what you want and what you should do at the right time to overcome weed. Thank you.
With respect to what you asked about what fertilizer should be utilized
Yes.
on the rice field,
Yes.
in most cases, we recommend inorganic fertilizers.
Okay.
This is why, because most of the so-called recently developed organic fertilizers are fake. Because of the crave for wealth, some people will go into the field and into the lab, into a fake labs, and the next day they come up with something they will claiming is an organic fertilizer. Whereas they have a minimal impact, after which the crop has to suffer. Therefore, we recommend NPK fertilizers, genuine fertilizers from renowned agro dealers who have reliable stocks that can sustain the crop within the growing period. And you have to buy this and apply 4 of the NPK, 50 NPK bags per hectare
Okay.
at the as basal level, or that is basal application. Then later on, by the time the rice is about to take in or boot, we call it technically booting, when it might get belly, then you apply the urea about 8 weeks after planting. Then it will augment the growth of the crop to the final maturity. So those are the procedures you follow.
To add to what Oga have said, in essence, so that our listeners out there will really know what is required. What Oga is saying, the dosage he is saying is for 1 hectare. For 1 hectare, you need 300 kg of fertilizer.
Okay.
NPK, 4 bags of 50 kg, which is 200 kg, and 2 bags of urea, which is 100 kg. Now, the urea is applied in split. You apply 1 bag at first, and then you apply the second bag when the rice is about to bring out the pinnacles.
Okay.
Just like our local farmers will say, the rice want to bring out the rice grains itself. So at that stage, you also, at that point, you apply so that it will bring it out. So in essence, you need 6 bags of 50 kg, 50 kg bags of fertilizer for 1 hectare, which is 4 bags of NPK and 2 bags of urea. That is the standard for 1 hectare in rice cultivation.
Apart from what
yes.
we have so far discussed,
Yes.
farmers over the years have been coming up so unsuccessful on the farm because they believe it's the quantity of number of hectares that will determine their prospects in the rice business, whereas that is not the case. In recent times, we have been advocating for farmers to undertake transplanting in order to reduce a lot of costs that could be associated with the production of the crop. For instance, requiring the seed rate for transplanting per hectare is just 2.5 kg of seeds per hectare.
At most 3 kg.
At most 3 kg. Whereas if you are broadcasting, some farmers could even commit about 100 kg within 1 hectare.
Within 1 hectare.
And when that is done, there is a lot
waste.
of competition for resources on the farm. They are competing for air, they are competing for the little fertilizer you could drop on the field, they are also competing for space. And with that, they will become choked up and they will not tiller or produce many of those branches that will give rise to a lot of yield.
Wow.
So that is our advocacy for rice production in recent times. It doesn't matter the size of the field, but how well you can manipulate it within a given area and get an optimum yield.
That's very interesting. I told you that you have a lot to learn. Don't go anywhere. They've told us what some mistakes our farmers make, in cultivating rice in terms of wanting to yield, thereby adding too much fertilizers and also the wrong types of chemicals used to control weeds and pests. This is still Improved Seeds on your first agricultural television. We'll be right back, where we are going to also get to know the calendar, the right calendar used for rice cultivation, and of course, some do's and don'ts in rice production. Stay right there. Welcome back. This is Improved Seeds. Sir, yes, you've highlighted some of the challenges, some of the things that we need to do. What is the right calendar that a farmer should, take note if you want to have a proper harvest of rice?
Okay, talking about the rice calendar, it is just like every other farming. What we call it farming calendar, not actually rice calendar.
Okay.
So irrespective of the type of farm you are doing,
Okay.
a calendar is just a sequence of activities that should be done at a particular time,
Okay.
right from the beginning of the planning, the record keeping, the purchase of input, down up to sometime processing.
Okay.
If you really want to go into processing, but if you are not a processor, it can end at maybe storage
Okay.
and sales.
And sales.
So a calendar is just a sequence of activities and time of which these activities should be carried out. That is just what we mean by farming calendar.
And so, for rice cultivation, what
For-
is the right?
For rice cultivation also, it depends on the region you find yourself.
Okay.
It has to do with, just like what Oga said from the beginning, land acquisition. Of course, you cannot farm if you don't have a land. But these days, farming have gone digital. Like what we are doing now, we are farming on radio.
On
So
TV.
farming on TV, farming have gone digital.
Okay.
So you need the land. After the land, you need the planning. You need the procurement of input. October, November, December, you are already preparing yourself. So it doesn't have a specific calendar, just like I said.
Okay.
You can design your calendar as it suits
Suits
your
your
region.
job.
Oga can design his own calendar as it suits his region, that from this time to this time, I want to be doing, depending on if it is, we have rain-fed rice and the irrigated, just like we have the upland and the lowland. So depending on the one you really want to take, but will determine what your cropping calendar should look like.
Well, so what are some of the do's and don'ts that a farmer should take, most especially in terms of storage and harvesting?
I think Oga have something to say about the calendar.
You have to,
before we
okay,
go.
let's hear. Put a calendar and let's know the do's and don'ts of harvesting and storage.
My colleague has actually explained a lot about that.
Okay.
And in fact, for a farmer not to drop in the dark in the course of the production process, you must assess somebody who could prepare an economics of production for you.
Okay.
And that itemizes what inputs are to be used at what time,
Okay.
and the cost associated with that, so that it will enable you to procure what you are to use at what time, so that you don't become stranded in the course of production because you had not gotten prepared so well for the exercise. So it's one thing we have to advise farmers to do. Sometimes they shy away because they say to give somebody money to draw an economics of production for me, it attracts a cost. But that is an advantage to the farmer, or it will help him as a guide.
Okay.
And in respect of
Harvest and
Harvest.
storage, yes.
well, by the time we have nursed the crop on the field, from nursery bed, transplanting, and managing all those aspects like weedings, bare squaring, and the rest until our crop has come almost to maturity.
Yeah.
We have to start getting prepared. We determine the level at which you observe the crop behave on the field when it's about to mature, or when it has matured. You don't allow your crop to over mature on the field, because you start already experiencing post-harvest losses. When it over matures, definitely by the time you are harvesting, or farmers are harvesting, some of them may not be careful, you start losing a lot of seeds from the panicles that are to be what you should take into the bag, to the beds or to the ground, and at the end of it, you have lesser harvest.
Okay.
We therefore advise farmers to observe that by the time the rice panicle have started turning from about 85% of the rice panicle might have reached a straw color stage to start harvest. You don't allow it to harvest and then start shattering when they are still on the plant.
Okay.
You will lose a lot. And in harvesting, we advise people either harvest mechanically or you use manual labor. And in some cases, in this part of the globe, farmers don't have access to harvesters, and manual harvesting is mostly carried out. And in this case, you bring in your sickles, you engage people, or you do the harvesting yourself. You carefully harvest and place in peace. Then, at least after 4 to 5 days, you can start your harvesting. Your threshing. To what he's saying, the reverse is the case in Benue State from where I come. Over here, gender lances are being worn in the production of rice.
Okay.
There is just no discrimination between sexes. Female farmers are going out there to cross so many hectares on their own without interference from the male counterparts.
Okay.
In as much as you can afford to do it, you are free to do that. Wow. And in participation or activities on the farm, in recent times, the former myths people were holding about certain things are being eradicated, because if there are exclusive issues female farmers should do and others that female farmers should not do, there will be no progress. So, in fact, this doesn't seem to have a serious challenge in Benue State.
Wow.
Because it is an all inclusive kind of thing. Wow. And no reservation is being made to somebody that you have to do this and it's your exclusive right. Wow. Because like myself, sometimes my wife doesn't even come to where I crop my own rice.
She goes to her own place?
She goes to her own place.
Well,
and I don't query that. And in fact, by the time they are threshing my rice, I participate in winnowing. Okay. And I winnow it effectively. Wow. I wouldn't wait until when a wife has come to the stage to do that. Wow. And it's a serious upliftment to the production process.
That has been a very interesting episode. Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, and thank you, Mr. Abba. Thank you so much for coming here and enlightening us and exploring more about cultivation of rice. This is where we wrapped up this episode of the program Improve Seeds. If you enjoyed it, why don't you keep a date with us, same time, same station, so that you can be enlightened on another topic, another beautiful topic where you're gonna learn and you're gonna practice it on your farm. From everybody here, thank you. I hope whenever I call on you, you both come.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, and take good care of yourself. I am Hilda Hobson Francois saying enjoy and cheers for now.